actually still dealing decent damage. Flashbang, Power Needle grabs on his Hans Summer, steals the kill onto Double Empty. They're gonna rush the Nexus. These world rookies, these upstarts with the Nexus open, these Misfits push themselves straight into the quarterfinals.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Worlds Tonight, where we talk about everything that happened at Worlds Tonight. It's a very obvious name. I'm David Phreak Turley, speaking of names. Joined here by Zach Rusty Pie and Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler, the caster duo known as Krusty. I decided.
As of now.
It's a great duo name. You're welcome.
The caster duo not known as Krusty.
Not known as Krusty. I was just kidding. Either way, we had a pretty exciting group. Group D happened today. Much to the chagrin of North America, that storyline continued. But hey, the Chinese LPL, Team WE 5-1 topped the group, and boy, did they look better doing it.
Yeah, Team WE looked fantastic. Misfits also being second is a big win for all of EU. NA being knocked out, devastating, I am sure. But that is the place that I would be looking at. Of course, as an LPL caster, Team WE looked incredible.
Yeah, your phrase there, Phreak, of the looking good while doing it was definitely true, especially the first two games from WE. Mystic on this Caitlyn pick, hadn't been seen before. Even Mithy, who was on the desk with us, was like, well, you know, this wasn't even a part of the boot camp. Like, this wasn't a part of the meta. That wasn't even a champion for us when we were talking about pick bans. And he absolutely smashed his lane with it 2 times in a row. They snowball very effectively. They siege, and they finish out these games very cleanly.
And that's something that interests me a lot, really, especially at Worlds, where the patch doesn't change, but week over week, the game does anyway because teams learn and teams evolve, both in the quality and the way they play, but also in the very discernible choices they make, like champions, like the Caitlyn coming out for the first time. We saw Misfits bring out Trundle a few times as well. That started pulling bans and whatnot. It's very interesting seeing the adaptations of teams.
Yeah, Caitlyn's the perfect example of exactly this. The best teams at Worlds, even if they do poorly in week 1 or shaky in week number 1, can come back in the second week. They can adapt. They can grow and be some of the best teams that you've ever seen. Caitlyn's a good example. Trundle from Europe is another one, even adapting in week number 1. The ability to just change on the fly, but also learn from mistakes and fix everything that quickly is commendable.
You guys didn't like the Thresh and Blitzcrank adaptation?
I did.
Trying to go against the Ardent wave.
Yeah, Ardent Censer, or non-Ardent Censer versus Ardent Censer is 1-1 right now. Misfits got a win and a loss with it. I do love seeing those adaptations personally.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Except for the Yasuo part of it, I will take away. Maybe one too many
effort.
adaptations in the whole team.
I appreciate the effort, but you're right, it didn't quite fit in that time around, although I still want to see some more carry tops happen. I do want to talk briefly about Ardent Censer more specifically as an item. I see all the comments online, oh, your AD carry has 7 items. And it's like, well, an item like Locket or Redemption just gives health to everyone, so everyone has 7 items with other support items as well. Specifically what Ardent Censer does, though, on like a mathematical level, is it's a better power spike early on. The buff doesn't scale, and the value of 25 attack speed, when you've got like 3 Zeals and a Rage Blade, is not nearly as high, and the 25 on hit damage is not nearly as high as it is when you buy it at 13 minutes.
Especially whenever any item's gold efficiency is this much above other items, it's always going to be most powerful when you first buy it, and that only is enhanced by the actual stats that it's giving.
Yeah, and I feel like, once again, if you have the Blitzcrank or the Thresh, the innovation, and you still get to that late game stage, it's a real possibility that your supports are equally strong and that the Ardent Censer doesn't provide a lot. The one thing that does still exist, of course, is something like a Cogmore or a Twitch that will then cut the slack up, make up the slack rather, and still make Ardent Censer look incredibly bonkers when it's more so just the champion.
Yeah, and obviously the item's good. The teams are buying it for a reason. It's not like we're going to see the item disappear from the metagame entirely. I do want to move on to some of the more specific things that happened today. 3 big matchups that really broke the group apart. First one up, WE beating TSM. This is that first game where the Caitlyn came out. The first game where we saw WE look absolutely amazing. 2-1 into this one, and they smashed.
Yep, WE absolutely shellacked their opponents in this game. TSM, I mean, didn't really seem like they were ready to play as fast as what Team WE were doing, and it just started from getting 1 turret, then it was 6 turrets, and then the game was completely over. And I know you were very hyped about this, Kobe. It was a full siege comp.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a very long time. You know, they have the Janet Caitlyn bottom lane. You push down this turret. They're able to just wear it down over time. They get their CS lead that way. Then they rotate the duo up, take the next outer turret, rotate up to the top. Then you have these 3 outer turret leads where not only does it give you this big gold advantage, but a lot more, you know, area on the map to work with. And TSM also didn't look like they had played against anything like a Siege Cup in quite a long time. So there were a lot of kills that they gave over where a couple of people were still standing at one of these turrets that was going down, or they weren't ready for one of the other members of Team W to be roaming because they had opened up that extra area. And it just looked like as Rusty said, they're completely caught off guard.
And legend has it, Xie never missed an EQ combo as well, especially on Bifrost and the middle lane 1v1. Xie was nuts in that game.
He was absolutely incredible. It was fun to see new stuff come out. The Jace mid certainly worked very well for the Chinese squad. TSM has had bad early games the entire tournament. I think they were still first bloodless in 7 games. I think they still had 0 kills at 15 minutes across 7 games as well. Just very rough early games. They never seemed to fix it week over week, whereas the other teams obviously got better. Next matchup we wanted to look at was WE beating Misfits here in this one. Big player this one was also Mystic on the Kog'Maw, because this was a very big comeback for WE.
Oh, yeah, and it's a lot of how the lane started. You see here, the kills starting on bottom side. Maxlore once again goes down to the Misfits bottom lane to gank for them, and they were able to snowball quite effectively off of that for the beginning. But then Team WE, especially with the Lulu plus Kog'Maw combo, were able to take this one back.
Yeah, a couple of really nice individual plays from Team WE, and also just the fact that Mystic has the strategy of put your face in it, and if it doesn't work, keep putting your face in it until it does. Being able to get the kills towards the mid to later stages of the game shows that Team WE are very aware of the fact that Mystic is going to do exactly that.
And junglers were also highlighted in this one, I think in all day long, actually, because not only did junglers that had early game impacts find success, but also the junglers with those engages later on, right? The crowd control landing at the perfect time in a team fight and trying to actually find that AD carry, those were the big moments that we look back on.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's another sort of metagame point because you're playing low engaged support, so the way in has to come from somewhere else. Oftentimes it is the jungler. We see a lot of these Ezreals fail because there's no way into the fight afterwards, and that just ends up being something teams have to make sure that they're conscious of as time goes on. One other game we want to talk about, the last important one in the matchup, the tiebreaker between Misfits and TSM, the one that WE gave them the chance to get, and it was Misfits.
Yep, it was definitely Misfits' focus from the very beginning. The cool thing about this game as well was the change-up in strategy from Maxlore in the jungle role, going towards the Jace, trying to target Hauntzer out. And granted, that's a very good idea if Hauntzer wants to win his lane. Feels like the kind of player that gets a little bit hyphy and tries to put extra pressure on himself in big games. They played around it well.
Worth noting as well that this was an attempt by TSM to change their strategy and adapt to the way that the day was going. You know, they pick an earlier game matchup. They have Svenskeren start on that side of the jungle. He counter jungles very heavily to protect Hauntzer, leaves a ward in the jungle. He also takes the Scuttle Crab, but he doesn't also cut off the other path through his own jungle, which you don't have any extra wards and there's no way to really see that, which Maxlore immediately makes a beeline for, and he passed by all this vision, and that's why he was able to get up there. And as well, the Alphari playing that Cho'Gath definitely deserves credit as well.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of things Misfits had answers for already, and it seemed like the adaptations from TSM were just coming a bit too late.
Right, because the choices were to get some better laners, blind the Jace, pick Karma into a melee matchup. Like, they should do well top, they should do well bot lane. Bot lane was good for TSM, but because of, as you mentioned, Maxlore's jungle intervention, the Jace matchup went equal to Cho'Gath, which is a death sentence just automatically for Hauntzer there, a player who had done well throughout the tournament. He survived ganks okay, but eventually the outscaling happened, and, I mean, much better team fighting for Misfits, quite obviously. So, huge stuff out of that group. We're going to move on to talking about what's happened overall at Worlds, though. The top 6 at the World Championship. We have 6 of the top 8 so far. 2 Chinese teams pulling #1 seeds, a Korean one up there as well with Longzhu Gaming, of course, Fnatic, Misfits, Samsung Galaxy as lower seeds heading to the quarterfinals with 1 group left to show.
And it feels good to be a Chinese caster right about now as well. 2 teams getting out as the first seeds. If ever there was a spot you wanted to be to not only dodge each other and have the awkward quarterfinals, but to dodge Koreans, they are set up for success.
Yeah, I mean, people are always debating, oh, what's the second best region? Because Korea's got the crown and has it. Yeah, there you go, Phreak.
By a lot.
What he said. China's fantastic this year.
And of course, we saw that Fnatic came back from the 0-3x0-4 start to make the run into the top 8, so EDG can still do that as well. It's actually very interesting because we've had almost every regional winner, especially if you count play-in teams, has lost out already. G2's gone, TSM's gone, Flash Wolves is gone. Okay, Longzhu made it in, but then Turkish, like, every other region's lost their #1 spot already. The #1 teams have died out. It's pretty much SKT is the #2 and Edward Gaming's the #1 left up here as that run.
I guess the question is, which narrative do we really follow here, Phreak? Is it the fact that first seeds can't get victories at the world stage,
or is it China and Korea are better?
And is it the China-Korea better? I don't know which one we're going to end up with. EDG are a bit of a wild card. It's very hard to predict.
It's going to be a fun one either way. Exciting stuff in the top 8. Kobe, your thoughts?
Super looking forward to tomorrow. I mean, everybody from North America is a little bit kind of empty right now, but they have to remember there is another hope. Cloud9
Yes.
will also be playing tomorrow. And you talk about the way they're starting the standings. EDG is definitely scary, but Cloud9 have a big lead on them with those 2 wins from week 1.
Yeah, it can almost guarantee, like, if you beat AHQ, it makes it nearly impossible. They own the head-to-head over AHQ. They are at 3 wins themselves. It makes it a pretty likely scenario. But the meme is still alive for North America. For Cloud9 to lose 4 straight games, you know, be in the 3-way tiebreaker under the 6-0 SKT, it's waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, I think we're going to learn a lot from game number 2. Game number 1, AHQ vs SKT, is a cool match to watch, but the second game means so much for the standings implications. NA's hopes can still be alive. I personally thought that Cloud9 were the best-looking North American team coming into the tournament as well. High hopes for them and still high expectations for tomorrow.
We'll see what happens. Who can meet expectations? SKT take the other #1 seed, and you have 2 Chinese, 2 Korean #1s. That's probably the most likely one. See if that happens. That's going to do it for us here at Worlds tonight. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you tomorrow for the exciting end of the group stage to see which of the last 2 teams to the top 8, and we'll see you there before quarterfinals. Take care.
Our closest group coming into the day. Are you ready for another 6 games of craziness? If they can start off on the right foot, we're looking at a very scary European squad here.
Watch for Swordart with the Shen-Off. He gets hooked, though. Gotta be careful. He goes down immediately. Swordart still doesn't get the quickness in.
Watch him! Watch him!
Fighting! Misfits close the door on the Flash Wolves Worlds run.
If you want first place, you're going to have to find victories in these games.
Double it backing up. Double it kiting. Getting the damage in, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The flame spinner right in his face, and it's going to be 957, the triple.
It's Team WE in front of the home crowd that shut down TSM.
MMD is going to get a little bit more delivered. There's the chomp down. Another kill for Mystics. Caitlyn pick 12-5. Team WE take down Flash Wolves.
EU vs NA once again, and for almost all the marbles this time. For TSM, it is. Firefrost needs to move back in and try and take that's over the shield, but he gets hooked up by Ignar. Power of Evil still chasing in, and Firefrost not going to make it.
Twitch is useless. Flash on him. We win. Nice. Jab no flash. Sarah, I kill Rise as well. Yasuo. I kill Rise.
The cons are fucking really panicked right now. Yep. So just calm down.
Into the back of a combo, there to get the front line down, and Dublin letting rip on the twitch. Dublin with a great flank to get the damage down. That's 2 already. Now from Haunter, gets him in there. Summer knocked him on the other end as TSM. They will keep their hopes alive here at Worlds and take down Misfits. Maple still firing away, almost grabbed a triple. MMD now dominating as he takes that one down. Again, Haunter stunned up for Ace. Nexus turret just getting torn to shreds. And Flash Wolves, they may only win once, but it hurts so bad.
Nice. I can flash on the roof. Go. Nice.
They cam at the miasmas, go from power. The final shot of culling. They fall behind, they come back late, and they keep their dreams alive.
Now just go to the next game. It's best of 1, but nothing else matters. This game I just want us to play, to win. Don't play not to lose. I don't have shockwave. I've cheated too. Nice goal.
Nice.
Go bound. I speed you. Nice.
Root is good on to do, but Dolan actually still dealing decent damage. Flashbang! These world rookies, these upstarts, these Misfits push themselves straight into the quarterfinals.